Hello, my name is Angela Buckley and I am the Green Book coordinator here at Chichester Festival Theatre. I am going to be taking you through our Theatre Green Book production spreadsheet that we use from the Theatre Green Book on one of our plays recently called The House Party, which hit basic standard on the Theatre Green Book. I'm going to talk you through tab by tab how we filled ours out, and hopefully it will help you on your journey to fill in the Theatre Green Book for performances. So we're going to dive straight in, and when you open the spreadsheet from the Theatre Green Book, you will have a tab at the bottom that says Start Here. Now, as you can see, I have filled out some boxes here, and this is the first thing you need to do. So obviously we are Chichester Festival Theatre, and the production was in the Minerva Theatre because we have two spaces. The production was called The House Party. It was an immersive play. I've filled in the producers here, the director, designer, costume designer, production manager, workshop lead, costume lead, and props lead. Now, these can be edited if you need to edit them, and also they can be changed. So if you decide that you want to put a prop supervisor or a costume supervisor, that's absolutely fine. So as you see, I filled in all the names here. And the first thing you do on the Start Here tab is decide which level you are going for. So on the Theatre Green Book, you can do basic standard, intermediate standard, or advanced standard. So for the House Party, we were aiming for it to be a basic standard show. And that means that 50% of the props, scenery and costume were from reused and recycled materials, and 65% went on to have a future life. So that is what we are aiming for. There's got some really useful notes on the side here as well, which is worth reading, especially if it's your first time filling out the Theatre Green Book. I would encourage everyone to just have a read through those notes. And then at the bottom here, you'll see basic, intermediate, and advanced. What I would also say is it's really good to be aware of what these different levels mean. We have got another show at the moment that we are working to basic standard. However, as we are filling in as we go along, we are realizing that we may hit intermediate. So it's really good to be aware of what those levels entail. So at the bottom, I'll talk you through the tabs because I'm going to work a little bit backwards because that's how we use our spreadsheet. So you've got basic, intermediate, and advanced. Now these are the actual pages of the standard, intermediate, and advanced, and they look like this. So for our show, because we were hitting basic, we're going to click on that one, and you can fill this out as one of the first things you do as well. And this is really good to do early doors because a lot of these steps happen way before the production is in place. So again, some of this will pull through from the front page, so it's already got all the names there. And what we do is we just tick who's going to fill in the standard. So for example, we think that our producer might be filling out a few bits, our production manager, our workshop leads, our costume lead, and prop leads. Again, if you want to change to props or costume supervisor, absolutely fine. And we fill these in. And then what we do is we go through these steps. There are 5 steps here. So we fill these in, and the white ones are something that you should aim to do, but they're not compulsory. And the blue boxes are the compulsory ones for basic standard. So step 1, we'll go through these one by one. Producing, appoint a team early, make sure basic standard is understood, set a longer program if possible, set the budget to spend more on people's time and less on materials. So these are things you really have to do before design stage. And all you need to do if that happens is give it a tick. And like I said, it's okay if you weren't able to do that or if you're not at a point of filling it in, but the best thing to do is keep it up to date. And it's like I said before, it's really good to have a look at these things way before you even think about putting a team together, because one of the first things you should do is when you appoint your team is see if they've worked with the Green Book before, because if they haven't, they might need a little bit of support. You might need to look at budget, and it's really good to understand where everyone is on the journey with this as you hire them for your show or production. So we'll go through. So that's agree how expertise and resources will be shared, identify responsibilities for measuring, recording, and sustainable disposal, establish a haulage limit, reference basic standard and co-production agreements. So we make the Green Book really alive in all of our meetings and all of our contracts before anyone's even come on site or we think about designing something, which really helps get that in early so that we can make any adaptations that we need to pretty early on. So we've ticked that one and we've ticked that one because those conversations were had. Then we go to concept and development. So concept, hold an early concept meeting to collaboratively sense check ideas at development stage, collaborate with the whole team to achieve sustainable outcomes. So I can say that we did that. So we give that a tick. Again, if these white boxes don't happen, that's absolutely fine. But it's if you haven't done that on this one and you hit basic, that's fine. But it's something that you should try and do for your next ones. It makes life a little bit easier. I won't go through all of them, but step 3 is making a sustainable production. So this will pull through from your totals here of your percentages, making sure that 50% is from reused and recycled and that 65% has gone on to have a future life. So though you don't need to fill that out at this stage, that will happen at the end. And here you're trying to source new materials sustainably if possible, avoiding PVC, hardwoods, polystyrene where possible. So yes, we did try to do that, so I can give that a tick. And because that's a blue box, that is compulsory, so you should have tried to have done that. Deliveries, consolidate deliveries where possible, avoid last minute deliveries where possible. We have actually done that, so I'm going to tick that one. It's really good to monitor deliveries, I would say. Even on basic, you don't have to fill in the travel calculator, but just on the process of another one of our shows that is the one that's blurring between basic and intermediate. With intermediate, you do have to track some journeys and travel. So if you're already doing that, it's a really good thing to do. So definitely worth considering, I would say. Step 4, stage management and cast. Make sure the cast and stage management understand baseline standard, basic standard, and can contribute to achieving it. So I'm going to tick that because we had a stage management meeting all the way through about Green Book. So they should definitely have understood that. Use reused or hired equipment where possible. We did that as well, so I'm going to tick that. Avoid harmful chemicals where possible. We did that as well, so we can give those all ticks. Use sustainable transport methods where possible. Choose accommodation within walking distance of the venue. So we did that. We also offer company members bikes if they live nearby. So we can definitely tick that box. After the production, reuse, recycle, check you've achieved 65% of your target. So we did do that. I can tick. I wonder if that. So what I can do is put our percentages in there, which will be on our report. So I'll go back and do that. Last one, review, assess results, share lesson learns with future teams. So I'm in the process at the moment of pulling the team together that was on this production to talk about the things that we learnt. And there were a few learning curves on this show. So brilliant to take that forward. So now I've filled in basic. I don't need to go and fill in intermediate and I don't need to go and fill in advanced. I can just leave it as that is. And I can move on. Although, like I said, it's quite good to maybe just have a flick through this early doors and just see what the differences are, just in case you decide to change which one you're going for. Now, this is where I'm going to change my direction slightly. So at the bottom, you can see we've got a scenery tab, a costume tab, a props and furniture tab. We don't need to worry about travel at this moment in time, although I will open it so you get to see it. Now, these are the actual tabs that you want to fill in for the final results. It's up to you how you work in your theatres, but we don't fill these actual tabs in until previews, so we know that we're getting the most up-to-date information. So we start by going to the end of the spreadsheet, and you'll see we've got costume, props, and scenery. So we've got the 3 and they're estimators here. So we've got the actuals and then we've got the estimators. So throughout the whole rehearsal process, we will use the estimators and we'll keep on top of the estimators, which give us a really handy pie charts in the corner. So throughout our production meetings, throughout the process, I can be updating people on the percentages that we are at. So this is the set and scenery one. I'll talk you through them fairly quickly. So here you can fill in your materials. You can see this one's already been set up. So you can fill in, and what's really useful about this spreadsheet is there is a guide at the bottom that shows you the estimated weights of certain materials. So it's really, really useful if you know that you're using a certain amount of foam, for example. You can go and look on and see how much that is, or if you know that you've got some carpet or you don't have to physically go and weigh it, you can use the guides that are at the bottom of this page, which just makes it super speedy. So you put in your elements here of your production of the scenery, and you just put in the weight. And then what you do is you choose a category. So is that material reused? Is it reused with modifications? Is it made with recycled materials? This is for the reused and recycled section. Or if you're buying new, was it made new with sustainable materials or was it made new from unsustainable materials? So we've gone through here. They've obviously reused something. So we were able to put it in this column that MDF was reused with minor modifications. So we've put the weight in here of what that is. And for example, here as well in the column that it needs to be, and it's updated in this pie chart. Really super simple. And then when I've sat in a production meeting, I've been able to say, well, at the moment we're sitting here on 62% in the green, which is amazing. And there's really useful little reminders here as well. If you're trying to hit basic, intermediate or advanced, it's really useful to go back and have a look at that. So that's set and scenery estimator. This is something that you could get the workshops to fill in as well if you've got workshops that are doing it, or you could get them to fill in the actual if that's easier. And then we've gone to props and furniture. So throughout the production, I was looking at the props list and where things were getting sourced and just filling it in as we went along. So for example, we had a bath, it was reused. We did have to modify it. So I've put the weight in here in this column, and it's automatically filled into the pie chart. And as well, there is a really useful weight guide down here. So if you think, oh yeah, in fact, in this production, we had a bed, it was a light modern double. So I was really quickly able to put in that's 50. You can see here, and that was from reuse, but again had some modification. So really quick, just going through the props list, and then we were able to, in the production meeting, look at that pie chart really super quick. Sometimes here I found it easier as the table isn't super long. Instead of adding columns to it and making sure it pulled through to the pie chart, I would group certain props together. I haven't had to do it on this example, but you could say I've got a folding chair and a table, and then put the combined weight in if they were both in the same column, if they were both from reused and they had no modifications, and that would update in the same way. So sometimes that's useful as well. The costume estimator works slightly differently. So what you do here is down the side you've got different things. So larger female costume, larger male costume. Then you decide whether that's from stock or from storage, or from a charity shop, or was it bought new with sustainable materials? Was it bought new with unsustainable materials? And you can say that, oh yeah, I had one of those things. I had one new pair of shoes that was made from sustainable material. Large coat, sorry, because this is in the coat section. And you just fill that number in, and it adds the weight automatically and adds it to your pie chart. So if I wanted to change that to 3, for example, it's changed the weight automatically and it's changed the pie chart automatically. So it's really good for like grouping things together. So for example, shoes, we had 5 pairs of shoes that were bought from sustainable materials. So it did the weight automatically and updated it material. If the costume supervisor turned around and said, actually, we've got trainers from not very good materials, then we could fill that in and it would change the pie chart there, and it would automatically change the weight. So we'll just change that back to what it was. So really easy to use, and we encourage our supervisors to use this throughout the process so we can have an update as we go along of where we're sat within the green book. As we get closer to the production, we can then start looking at filling in the actuals, which works slightly differently, but with the same thought in place. So this is our set and scenery one. So we'll go through. So you can see we've got for example, in the element column, you'll fill in what it is. Street lamp, doors, benches. So you can fill out what it is. We'll go down here. Treads, for example, risers. And you just go along the column. So you put what material that was, you work out the weight. Again, you might have it from the estimator, you might have to work it out from the bottom, or you might have that information from whoever built it. Then you choose the source. So there's a little point system here. So this is what apply was from a local timber merchant, so it must have been a new material, but it was made sustainably, so we've given that a 4. And then we look at where that's going, so we can say actually all of that is going to stock, and that's number 3. So you fill in your score here, and then it will come up with a result here, which will pull through to your percentages at the bottom. So we can see here with our choices, as we filled that in, we've gone from 59% from reused and recycled, and we've got 69% going out. And there's a really handy reminder at the bottom here. So we've hit our basic standard, and actually we are almost at intermediate. You can see we've got 60% was intermediate and 70%. So we are 1% off on each of those for hitting intermediate level, which is a really good lesson learned. But then you can have a look at the final there, your final scores. So that's the set and scenery. Costume works very similarly into the way that you fill out the estimator. So you can pull that through from your estimator, or you can just fill it out again. So for example, we had 13 pairs of shoes in the end, made from a kind of bad material. So we've put that we had 13 of those. The weight gets worked out automatically. Then I choose the score. So they were from bad material. So I think that gets filled out automatically. Let's just see. Yeah, so 13 pairs of shoes. So that's been filled out automatically. And we get our percentages at the bottom, so we can keep an eye on how we're doing. So very much in the same way, just going through the score system, and also where it is going to. So you'll go along the top lines. We've got 3 things from stock, which were like coats or skirts, and they are going back to stock. So the color coordination here comes in really useful. And it's the same with props as well. So you just go through the line, you're putting your prop in, what material. I made some kind of handy remarks which might be useful when working things out. You put the weight in from the guides. Maybe you've already done it in the estimator. Then you choose your score, so whether it's reused, recycled, and choose your destination where it's going afterwards. Everything else is worked out, and you can see we were on 73% and 90%. So a really good basic show here as well. I'll open the travel page. So there's a travel calculator here. So if you're going for intermediate or in advanced, you might want to go into this in a little bit more detail. But we have, for some of our shows, just asked people to start tracking their travel and just to send us their mileage, or our prop supervisor, for example, to just kind of track how many journeys he's doing. And what we'll start to do going forward is just filling this in, whether it's basic or intermediate. So we have some sort of tracker of how we're doing. But if you are going for those intermediate or advanced stages, then you do want to start tracking your travel and working out that carbon factor as well. So now I'm going to go to the report. Now, all that information will be pulled through to the report, so I've not filled anything in here. And you will see it has totals for set and scenery, costumes, props, and furniture. So here we can see our scores for how much was reused and recycled in the building of it, and the destination here. So we did really well in costumes, 100% going back to the store or going to new homes. Props and furniture 90%. So we can see overall here we were 59%, which is really close to intermediate level, really close to intermediate level, or 70%, 70%, which actually hit intermediate on the way out. So it's really good to be aware of those different levels because, like I said, they might change as you go along. So here we have added in some main decisions that we took. So for example, on this show, we had to change the perspex. We decided to choose a really eco-friendly perspex, but it didn't quite work for us on stage. So we had to go back and have a look at that. So we've put that lesson in here. And it's really good to track things, just lessons that you want to take going forward, and all of those points will go through into our meeting that we have afterwards to reflect how we got on. So that is a basic run through of how we use the production calculator. Again, I would say change it and edit it to what you need it to be for your production. We've got a costume supervisor at the moment who didn't quite get on with the language here, so we've ended up changing it from we edited that to CFT stock. Then we changed this to hire stores, to charity shops, and then I think we kept those two the same. But it's really important that you make this spreadsheet work for you and use the language that you'll be using within your theatre, because it's a fairly easy spreadsheet to fill out as you go along. So I hope that's helped some people. That's how we filled out our one on the house party, and we are currently filling in 2 others for 2 other productions. So we have been getting on really well with it. But thank you, everyone. Hope your journey on Theatre Greenbook continues and that this has helped. Thank you.